Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for joining me in today's video. So today we are going to be doing your relationship reading as a pick a card. So we're going to have these three groups and you kind of get to get your general sense of what you need to know for your relationships. So we're going to be tackling what's happening in your relationship, any general guidance that really is available to you. So without further ado, take a moment so that we can take a deep breath together. Let's do that one more time. And one last time. So once again, here, take a look at all of these decks, and you have group number 1 right there, group number 2, so group number 1, 2, and group number 3. So once you made your selection, we can actually get started. All right, group number 1. If you have picked group number 1, then this is for you. Let's just unpack it all, both the tarot and the oracle decks, and see what's happening in your relationship. See kind of what you need to know right now at this time. This is definitely going to be more time specific because it only relates to this week, but let's see what's happening. It's just going to take me a moment until I kind of get everybody organized here, and here we go. And let's get you guys into focus. So here's the thing. I think that you have a really hard time with, you're sort of like seeking wisdom, seeking like a teacher outside of yourself, because you kind of forgot all of the things that you know that you kind of need to remember. You're being invited right now that inner wisdom is still within you, and you don't need to seek for external validation or external, like you might be like almost like asking people, what do you think I should do? I'm just not sure. Like there's a level of like uncertainty that I'm kind of getting, and in the meanwhile you kind of want, it's almost like you want to kind of pick up momentum, and maybe that's sort of like why you're kind of questioning things in the relationship, because you want to kind of pick up momentum within the relationship, but you're really being reminded right now to have a little bit of patience with yourself and have a little bit of empathy, and see sort of how you can not only be patient with yourself, but also stop seeking wisdom outside of yourself. Because most of the time, maybe what you actually need is just to create a little bit of space and see sort of what's actually still in alignment for you. The other thing is with the empathy piece, a lot of the time that kind of goes back to self-worth. You do have a really positive card here with the Fool, because you are being asked to, instead of trying to like sort of overthink that a little bit, you have to take a leap of faith. Like I do see definitely that you are kind of going down on this really dark rabbit hole where you're overthinking things and you're sort of contemplating things within the relationship, and you're just not sure which way it's going to go. You're invited right now to not to overthink, to lean into your faith and stop going down on this rabbit hole of, you know, thinking negatively. Like that's sort of where that empathy piece is really coming back in my opinion, where you need to have a little bit more kindness to yourself and practice some self-love. Perhaps have some sort of ritual or have like this really strong practice that can really hold you, because in the meanwhile things just feel like they're just sort of upside down. They're just not, they don't feel like they're in alignment at the very moment, and so that's kind of causing you a little bit for your mind to start racing, and you're looking at different scenarios of, you know, like you have a hard time tapping into leaping forward and assuming that things are going to work out. The other piece of it too is that Spirit is also reminding us, you're being reminded again that wisdom, that inner wisdom is actually coming from you, and it's not coming from outside of yourself. Other people will never be able to properly guide you within your relationship because they don't really know energetically exactly where you are or exactly how that relationship dynamic is really working for you. So the other piece of it too that I'm sort of getting, especially with the oracle cards, is that you need to tap into your own story and your own wisdom of like, what is it that you really want? Like, is this still in alignment for you, or is it time to kind of move into a different direction? Because this negative thinking, this contemplating and assuming that the worst is going to happen is not really going to be helpful. So this is an interesting card with like the fall in love with your own story. You really need to tap into deeply and be in love with which direction you want, and not feel like you need to really ultimately compromise on that. I do see also with the vitality card that just came up, you might not be able to see it very well right now, that you do have a lot of resilience that is kind of coming up from this. And the thing is that if you're finding that you're voicing really what you want, and you're not picking up the momentum that you want within this relationship, you still have that wisdom and you still have that strength within you that you can kind of pull through. But don't compromise on sort of what you want just so that you can, just so that you're kind of settling. Ultimately, what this comes down to is don't settle just so that you can kind of be nice, but at the same time lean in to your intuition, like whatever your gut is really telling you, that's sort of where it's at. You do have that inner wisdom, but try to tap yourself out of that negative thinking and assuming the absolute worst, because it's not really going to get you closer to where you need to be. So this is all I have for you. Hope that this has resonated for you, and see you guys at the very end of this video. All right, group number 2. If this is the crystal that you were, or this is the pile that you were gravitated towards, then this is going to be for you. We're going to be chatting about your relationship, see sort of what is in store for you. What does Spirit want you to know? What advice do we have here for you for this week? And kind of let's move right along. So give me just one moment. Let's just set the cards right up. So let's get started. Intuition. You're getting sort of some downloads about your partner, and I feel like this person that you're with is a bit controlling. Maybe you're feeling like this person is also passing some judgment. Definitely somebody who is sort of taking control of aspects of the relationship, and you're getting these downloads, or you're getting that sense. You know what I mean? Like you're getting that. Maybe you're sort of intuitively tuning into this person's energy, and it's actually affecting, like when you're around this person, it's really affecting your creativity. You have a hard time creating. You seem to be really tuned in, but right now you're having a really tough time staying within that zone, because you feel like it's almost like somebody kind of comes in and kind of wants to take control of aspects of your life. Maybe they want to kind of, they're just kind of it's almost like they're sort of invading that sacred space, and it's not an equal relationship where you're both showing up equally to the relationship type of thing. Either way, like, it's definitely affecting you creatively, and it's definitely affecting you when it comes to really like tapping into what you really want. Here's the thing, you are being reminded that you need to speak your truth. This Oracle card actually came up reversed, and the reason why it came up reversed is because it's more of a self-care card. Like, that's not what's happening, but that's what you kind of need to focus on. That you need to not only speak your truth and stop being in denial about this, because you might be like, well, but like this person is providing me with security and it's all great. Like, I don't even have to think about certain things. They're already taking care of it. You're being reminded that being in denial is not energetically, you're sort of denying aspects of yourself. Like, you're sort of, it's almost like you're dimming your light just to kind of fit in. And it's time to let that aspect of yourself go. The letting go card, to me, it really comes down to whether it's going to be up to you, whether you end up just literally like leaving that baggage behind, or you let go of that aspect of yourself that feels very submissive, that you can't speak up, and see sort of what lights you up. Like the fertility card being in reverse, it's all about creativity, feminine energy, tapping into your divine feminine. And if you're denying that aspect of yourself, that can actually lead to more problems down the road. But the other part of it is that you being in denial is not really helping you. I do see that you are trying to avoid that conflict and kind of run away from it. The Knight of Swords also came up in reverse. And with the Eight of Cups, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to need to kind of figure out, like, okay, are we done with this relationship? Are we walking away from this? Or are we simply ready to let go of this submissive energy? Because ultimately, it's affecting every aspect of your life. And with the world being in upright, like, I do see that as the positive outcome, but you need to absolutely tap out of this denial and just pretending like something is not there, like it's not actually happening, when really it is affecting you energetically. But the only way for you to really create this, to kind of make this relationship work, is if you, one, speak your truth, and two, either leave the relationship or leave that, or you need to kind of just speak your truth that, like, this is kind of what I'm looking for, and if that works for you, then that's fantastic. But like, you definitely need to set, and I think that deep down you kind of already know that this is happening and why this is happening, but you need to absolutely speak your truth so that you kind of find that balance between you and this person. I definitely do see it that, you know, there might be some fear around it, and you are getting these downloads that, you know, something isn't sitting right. But at some point you need to tap into your courage and, you know, just kind of speak your truth, because otherwise you're not really living in an authentic relationship that is really allowing you to be the best version of yourself, which is ultimately what this comes down to, right? So there's that element of wanting to just not run toward, like, not run through the obstacle, or not run through this issue, but kind of run away from it. You also thought about, like, walking away or just kind of giving up, just kind of letting it be, but ultimately that's not really serving you to the best of its ability, right? And you are ultimately the decider of, like, what is that baggage that you're ready to kind of release and let go of, and what is something that's actually serving you versus like, are you going to stick around and then just kind of be aware of what's happening but be in denial about it, that, you know what, like, it's actually not happening, or maybe it's not that bad. Like, we tend to kind of sometimes make excuses because of comfort, because we're too scared to kind of face not so much the reality of what's happening, but we're scared to face sort of how will we deal with it if we do decide to kind of walk away, right? So have the courage, friends, to just kind of clear this energy up. And whether you decide to stay or not, one of the number one things that you're going to have to do really is just state out loud, whether you journal about it or whatnot, of what is it that you truly want, what lights you up, where is this kind of going for you, so that you can set the energy straight. So this is all I have for you guys, and see you at the end. Okay, kids, if you have picked group number 3, this reading is going to be for you. So let's see what's coming up. All right, so let's get started. Here's the first thing that I wanted to mention about this. You are having almost like this gut feeling that, like, something is going on with your person. You are definitely, I see you with the spiritual strength. I definitely see you as sort of like the bedrock of this relationship. You're sort of like the rock. But I also see that maybe it's you, maybe it's your partner that sort of have this idea about this relationship of where it should go, right? Like, you have like sort of this idea of this life, or maybe your partner has this idea of how your life should be looking like, you know, like with the house and the kids and then the rainbows, but like, you don't want that, right? And basically I see that there is this transformation that is that is sort of like unfolding, and you're being reminded that you sort of have to kind of figure out who is it that you're becoming with this person. So like, when you guys are together, like, how is that going, right? So I do see that like there's definitely that conflict of like you want one thing and then your person wants something totally different. And so there's like a bit of a conflict that's happening there. And maybe you don't really like the person that you are becoming when you guys are together. Like energetically, there's just sort of like it's sort of like a mismatch, right? Where like you want one thing and then the other person deep down, like you might not want to acknowledge this, but you guys want different things, right? And there's that element of you sort of judging this whole thing of like, why is it that I don't want the thing that is being presented to me, right? So part of you is sort of thinking like, is it better for me to walk away? Is it not better? Should I stay? Should I kind of walk away from this relationship? Part of you doesn't want to because there's definitely that stability and then there's that sense of comfort that's happening. So you're kind of toying around with the idea of, wouldn't it be different? But then you're also seeing that darker side of your partner of like, okay, I kind of not only do I not really want what's happening or what this person is offering me, but then I'm also I don't have that in me to kind of start fighting them on it. So you're sort of like with especially with the devil card, you are sort of kind of toying around with the idea of like, well, maybe it might be a good idea to go back to my ex, or like there, like I see the devil card as like somebody else that's sort of coming in and sort of offering you something totally different that might be a little bit more in alignment. So you're toying around with the idea of, should I just kind of leave this relationship and walk away, leave things as they are, because I'm up to this point I've just been sort of like the rock of all of this. So spirit's message to you about all of this is return back to your true nature and return and time to get grounded, basically. Like with the nature card, being outdoors, it just not only shifts your perspective, but it redirects your mind so that you're not constantly contemplating on what you should do and where you should go and all of that. Like, should I stay with this person? Should I go into a different relationship? Maybe I should go back to my ex who seemed not so bad at this point. Either way, like for you, one of the biggest things will be to release the judgment about all of this that's happening. Know that maybe you have outgrown this relationship and look at where is that temptation coming from, right? Like, are you just being tempted because it's easier? Like, is this person that's coming in, is that person easier? And then that way you don't have to deal with the conflict. Or are you actually thinking that really your relationship is no longer in alignment? And then that's sort of where the issue lies. Either way, you need to really reground your energy, get back into nature, get back into literally, like I would actually go with walking bare feet for 10 to 15 minutes outside, just because then that way that will give you a different perspective than just kind of like you're constantly being in your head. And then meanwhile, you're keep getting these hits of gut feelings that it's like, something is just not right. You know what I mean? Like maybe I should walk away, maybe I should stay. And like that can like drive a person insane. So this is ultimately what I have for you out of this reading. Hopefully this has resonated with you. And basically all I want to share with you guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you did, you already know what to do. You can give me a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified every single time that I release another relationship video. And that's basically all I got for you guys. Well, I hope that you enjoy the remainder of the week and have yourself a fantastic one, and just keep seeking wellness seekers. I'll see you again on my next one. Bye.